Okay. So today we will discuss a few more concepts and then we will start solving some numericals in this particular course, in this particular topic. So here we have instantaneous power. Instantaneous power. So basically, instantaneous power that you will calculate at any specific time p, at any specific time t, will be the voltage at that time t, correspondingly the current at that time t. So this type of power that you calculate at specific instant is called as instantaneous power. And the average power is nothing but this thing you have already studied in the first portion of this course. So the average power, if you want to calculate, it's nothing but the average of the power in a specific time interval t. So if you see here, this is the convention that we are using for average power. So this thing I think most of you know already because we have already covered it in our earlier portion of the course. But like for example, I want to do one small example on this just to clarify how this thing is evaluated. So let us say if you have a current IT which flows like this in the resistor. So uh, if I'm having this thing as the profile of current, and this is the maximum value of this current, and this is the current, sorry, this will be IT, and this is time. So if I want to calculate the average power delivered to the resistor R, find the average power delivered to the resistor R when this current IT flows through the resistor. So can you calculate that this thing? I'll give you 2 minutes time to calculate this particular thing. Like how, what will be the expression for the average power?
Sir, what does x-axis represent?
X-axis is the time.
Okay.
This is time. So I'm giving you a few minutes, 2-3 minutes to evaluate this integral. It's very simple. Try to evaluate and give me the answer for average power.
Sir, Im by 2.
No, it's not Im by 2.
Sir, I am into T by 2. I am into T.
No, it's not Im into T.
0.
No,
Sir, I am. I am. Yes, sir, I am.
no, it's not Im also.
Sir, Im square R.
I am by root 2.
No.
Im square R by 4.
People who are getting Im square R, they are close to the result, but the fraction that which they are saying is not 4 or not 2.
I am square by 2. I am
Sir,
square.
Im square R by 4.
No, not 4.
I am square R by root 2.
Sir, I am square r by 2.
No, it's the answer is
by 3.
yes. Answer is Im square R by 3 watts. So how many of you got that?
No.
Okay, so only one person got it. Okay.
Yes, sir, I got that now.
Okay. Okay, so it's not that tough. So what is the equation of this line? Can anyone tell this equation of the line? You have this line, right? Can we have the equation, please?
I equals to T.
What is the equation of this line?
I equals to T.
I equal to T. No, it's not
am by
that.
I am by T.
Im by T, yeah. So the specifically what the slope is Im by T, not the equation. So
Sir, IT equals to I am by T into T. Small t wala T.
so it is this. Okay, everybody is comfortable with this. This is not y. This is exactly it equal to this. Everyone is okay with this. So if anyone has any doubts related to it, can ask. But it's a very simple. You have to write the equation of the line and get this answer. So this is it, which is defined as a function of time t as this, and simply what you have to do is you have to just use the instantaneous power if you want to calculate. That is what? That is I square r. So what is this I square r? That is Im square by t square times small t square times r. This is the instantaneous power, and then what you are doing is you have to calculate the average power for the single time interval t. So what you will do is you will just integrate it in between
Integration
0
upon
to
t.
t, and then you go for this integration, and what you get is the answer, this one. So just a normal way of doing these integrations. So be comfortable with different type of waveforms that you can have, and then try to solve it and get the average power for the circuit. So this is the simple question related to make you understand how to calculate these integrals. Okay, then another concept that we have along with instantaneous power is the effective power. Effective power, or basically effective power or RMS value of a effective value, sorry, not power, effective value, or it is also called as RMS value. So can anyone tell me what exactly is this RMS value? Like you must have studied this, right?
Sir,
So
root
that is
Due to
m by
root mean
root
square.
Root mean square, yeah,
Generally,
yeah.
it's
We
mean
know
and
that
m by root 2.
it's a root mean square. We know this, but what is this? What is the physical significance of root mean square? Like why
Sir,
we are
that is the
calculating it?
practical value of that device.
No, practical value it's okay with you, but as far as
Sir, it
the
is a practical value of current which flow through the circuit if we apply an AC circuit.
yeah, so it's if you apply a AC circuit, so it's a RMS value or a effective value of the circuit. But why we are calculating it? Like what we want to achieve here? Like if you want to
Sir,
calculate
if we
Its
want
Sir, we
average.
want to
DC
change it in a DC
source, then
source.
yes.
we can apply a value equal to RMS
Right,
value.
right. Good. So root mean square value we are calculating for an AC source because what we want to see is like what is the effective DC voltage if we try to replace this alternating source by that DC source, what will be that value actually? So like for example, right now you are actually trying to calculate the sinusoidal excitation over this resistor because we are currently working on AC circuits, right? So we have this voltage source Vs which is alternating, and whatever power it is delivering to this resistor, the thing is like we want to actually realize that equivalent of this what will be the DC voltage which will generate the same amount of power in this resistor. So we effectively want to know what is the value of this DC voltage. So this DC voltage value which you will get is basically the effective root mean square value of the AC signal. So what we in order to calculate this root mean square of the voltages which we are considering here, this is the effective voltage. So in order to calculate the value of the effective voltage or effective current that is going on in here. So this will be also effective DC current, and this is the AC current, okay. So what we want to know is we want to know the effective voltage as well as the effective DC current that is generating same amount of power in this resistor as it is the case when the alternating voltage source and the alternating current is flowing in this resistor. So if I want to find out a relation between the currents because you have IT, so you want to calculate the effective DC which generates the same power. So what you will do is you will actually equate the powers of the two circuits. So in this case, if you want to equate the powers, so it will be nothing but I square T R dt. So this is basically the power that is generated in the resistor here. And if I want to calculate the effective power here, it is nothing but it is I effective square R. So these two powers we want to actually compare with each other and see what is the effective DC current that we can have in the corresponding DC circuit. So now once you equate the two, the effective value that comes out to be is under root of 1 by t integration 0 to t, then you have I as a function of t squared dt. So this is called as the root mean square value of the current. So we will have this value which I was telling. And similarly, if you want to calculate the effective voltage which can replace the alternating source which is present over here, then the value of that is nothing but 1 by t integration v square dt 0 to t. And this v, please note, this v is actually a function of time t. So if I want to calculate the effective current, this expression I effective for this particular equation, this particular curve, can you give me the result, like what will be the effective value if I want to calculate I effective for this?
Im by root 2.
No, it's not Im by root 2. Please note that it's not a sinusoidal signal.
I am by 2.
By
Im by
3.
no, it's not Im by 3.
I am by root 3.
Yes,
Root 3.
Im by root 3. So this will be the effective value. Please mute your mic, whosoever is this. So effective value is Im by root 3. In case of sinusoidal signals, if you want to calculate, that value will be, as you all know, is Im by root 2. Okay, so this is I think this you can calculate yourself. I think it's not a big deal in calculating this value. It's just the integration that you are doing by substituting the value of it, which is this it. You substitute this it into here, and then you calculate this integral and underroot it, then you will get Im by root 3. So I'm not doing it, you can do it easily. It's not a big problem here. So this is basically the concept of RMS value and the average value which we had calculated here in case of AC. So today I'm shifting the gears now, and I'm moving to some other topics related to this particular AC signals, and let's understand these topics also. In order to solve these numericals, you have to understand these concepts also. So that's why we are going into that direction. So today we will understand the phasor representation of sinusoidal signals. So please recall that you are already comfortable with the polar format of the Cartesian representation, the complex number representation, which is in the rectangular coordinates. So now what we will do is we will actually try to solve these numericals based on the polar coordinates, and we will understand how we will do it. So in order to relate the polar coordinates which you had studied to the AC signals that we have is this topic actually. This topic is actually trying to create that link in between the polar coordinates which you have studied with the corresponding AC circuits that you will study now. So normally what happens is polar coordinates can be easily represented as this, as you all know. So this is basically nothing but it is what? If I am writing a angle phi, how can it be represented in terms of the another format like exponential? Can anyone tell? If I want to write it in
J theta.
okay, so it is like e raised to power j theta. Okay, so this is equivalent to this format. Okay, and then basically it is nothing but if you write
A cos
Plus j sin theta.
right or not? So this is like this. But can you tell me one thing? Like as I was telling you, we are exciting the voltage sources by the cosine signals only, and we are not using sine signals. Then how come this particular expression which is written over here, as we are saying that this is equal to this, and then we are saying this is also equal to this, then how come you are writing your voltage sources which are only cosine sources equivalent to this? Can anyone tell me?
Sir, there is also a phase difference.
No, phase difference is there. Yeah, phase difference is there, but Basically, that phase difference is not incorporated here in this particular thing.
Sir, we can zero the imaginary part.
Why you
Sir, we are
can
taking theta
Sir,
equals to
theta plus a minus theta.
see the thing is, I will tell you the answer. Normally, what happens is we are interested in only cosine sources which are over here, right? So there is no sine source here. So normally, if you want to, basically, if you want to go for the cosine sources, so what you will do is you will actually take the real part of this a e j theta, this thing. So if you take the real part of this, then what is this value? Its value is a cos theta or not?
yes, sir.
So
Yes, sir.
basically you are taking real part of this complex exponential. And the reason why we are using this exponential is because it helps us in solving some differential equations which we will see later on during the course of time. I don't know whether we will cover that up or not because that is not included in your exams, I guess. But the problem is the differential equations that we set up for the the RLC circuits. The solution of that differential equation satisfy this particular this particular exponential. So that's why we use this exponential commonly, and once we solve the circuit, then we take the real part of the solution, and the real part of that solution is the actual solution for the cosine signal excitation. So what happens is since the important thing is we have this a cos omega t plus theta, but still what we are doing is we are actually using real part of we are using a angle theta. So can anyone tell me why omega is not used here?
Sir, because the phase is theta.
No, phase is theta, but omega is also there, right? Why we are not using omega here, like in this representation?
Sir, we use that representation at the time equal to 0.
No, it's not that. See, as I told you last time also, omega is actually known to us. As I was telling you last time, omega is known to us and it's only a single omega with which we are exciting the electrical circuit. So for us, the information about omega is known. So what we do is when we write the phasor analysis or phasor representation of a cos omega t plus theta, we write a brackets theta actually. We do not write omega because omega is known to us and there is no point in predicting that. So that's why we actually omit omega from this expression and we write the polar representations as a angle theta. Fine. Any questions here related to this?
Sir, how would we find the difference between a cos omega t plus theta and a cos theta if we write the same
See,
representation for both?
No. See, here what you are trying to see is you are bringing in two different omegas. In the first case, omega is 0, that is a omega, a cos theta. In the second, you are saying a cos omega t plus theta. You understand? So that omega thing has to be same when you are trying to solve the circuits. That is, your voltage excitation has to be through omega, and the currents and the resistance, the currents that are flowing in the resistance as well as in the capacitance has to be with the same omega. So omega has to be same. It cannot be 0 in one case and having some value in another case. So if that is the situation, we cannot do that. Okay.
Okay, sir, got it.
Sir?
Please mute the mic. Everyone else who is not. Yes.
Sir, I wanted to ask if you want to make phasors of two different waves, which has omega 1 and omega 2, and we need to mention omega 1 and omega 2.
Then actually you have to, because phasors are normally not including omega 1. So what happens is normally we deal with the circuits based on omega 1 and then with omega 2 and then we apply superpositions. So all these things are of advanced courses, like it's not covered here. But if you have two frequencies, different frequencies for the same circuit, then solve for one frequency first, then solve for the second frequency, and then you add up the results. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Sir, is it like shifting the graph first at by omega t units and then calculating it?
Which shifting of the graph?
Sir, means the waveform will be there of a cos omega t plus theta.
No, no, it's not about, see, the thing is a cos omega t plus theta, you are visualizing in terms of time analysis, okay? But the phasors are represented in terms of the, vectors having the amplitude A and angle theta. And the rotation of this is actually, is actually omega. So how fast you are actually rotating this vector is the omega. So what we do is we keep this omega fixed for a specific circuit and we do not go for variations in the omega.
Yes, sir, I got
Okay.
it. Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, so now what happens is maybe in some of the books, not in the one which I have given you for the coursework, but if you see other books, what happens is they represent sometimes, as they represent. So let me not go there first, otherwise it will confuse you. But right now, if you see here, I think everyone is comfortable with these representations and why we are using this one and not omega. If any questions here, they can ask, otherwise we will move forward. Okay, so now what happens is we are representing this particular thing, which is, let us say you have a voltage Vt given as Vm cos omega t plus theta. So what we do is we actually represent this in terms of phasors, and phasors are represented in this bold letter V, and that is nothing but it's Vm angle theta. So it is difficult to draw these bold letters every time when I will be explaining. So what I will do is actually I will write it as, V something, like this. So you can understand if I'm writing something like this is equivalent to I'm writing this bold letter. So this is basically the frequency representation of the time domain signal. So this is the time domain signal where you have time as the axis, and this one is the frequency representation. So capital V is a different way of representing this time domain signal, but in frequency, in terms of the frequency, in terms of the phase actually, if you see here. So it is representing in terms of the phase, which is Vm angle theta. And this is basically nothing but this vector having angle theta, which it is making from the x-axis, and the rotation frequency, like how fast it is rotating, is omega, and we do not actually use this to represent this vector because we already know the value of omega, and same omega will remain throughout. So we do not represent this vector by any representation of omega, and this is actually your V. This is your V, which is nothing but Vm angle theta. Similarly, you can write I also as the bold letter I, which is nothing but Im angle theta. So because voltages are alternating, so currents will also be alternating. So this can be the representation for voltage. This is the representation for current. So if you have a current IT, let us say, given as 25 cos omega t plus 45 degrees, and if I want you to represent it in terms of the capital bold I, then what will be the answer? Who will tell the answer?
25 angle 40.
25 angle
25
degree.
Okay, good. And how about if you have a voltage Vt given as minus 15 sine omega t plus 30? What will be the answer here? If you want to calculate
angle
15,
150 degrees.
no, why 150?
60. 60 please. 120.
Because converting in cos.
So you convert into cos, its answer will be 120 degrees. So this is basically the representation in terms of the phasors, and these phasors are bold I and bold V. And for convenience for this class, I will write like this. So do not confuse this I tilde and V tilde by anything else. But for this class, what I am doing is just to avoid writing these bold letters every time, I will use these. Okay. So what we want to know is to see another important concept involving involving these phasors is the impedance. So we want to understand the impedances. What are impedances? So like in case of uh, resistances, we have some resistance is there in the case of DC circuits. Same way we have impedances in case of AC circuits. So we will try to understand the impedances for the different type of elements that we have in the AC circuits, which are R, L, and C. So for all these three elements, we will try to understand what is the value of the impedance that we have for these three components, and what is the relationship between the voltages and currents for these three elements, which I think you must be knowing it, but let's do it for the repetition so that everyone will be on same page in case if they have some doubts. So what happens is in case of AC circuits, what we will have is this relation. This bold V is nothing but Z omega, then this bold I. So this is the frequency representation of the circuit, and here J omega is called as the impedance. It is called as the impedance, and the important point is that this impedance is frequency dependent. So as the frequency change, this impedance will also change. But in case of the current circuits which we are using the same frequency. We are not changing it, but we have to, but you have to know that this particular thing can change if the frequency change. But all the derivations that we will be doing, all the important concepts that we will be discussing is based on the assumption that the voltages and the currents are the complex sinusoids of same frequency. So that is the important thing. But this is just for your information that it's a frequency dependent parameter. So if omega changes, which is not in this particular course, but if omega changes, then this which we are calling as impedance also changes with the frequency. So let us say you have a circuit which looks like this. This is the resistor, this is the current which you have here, okay, and here the current IT, here the current IT is nothing but it's capital IR EJ omega t plus theta. So let us say you have this current which is flowing. Okay, so again someone may ask that why we are using this particular thing, that is IR EJ omega t plus theta. So the thing is, the important thing that to be note here is that if you want to, we will discuss why we are using EJ omega t plus theta in a second. But for now, you can please mute your mic. Whosoever is this? Who is this person? Once 065. Can you please mute your mic? I do not want all these mics to be opened up, okay? Until unless you have any questions. Okay, so here we have this IR EJ omega t plus phi as the current that we are assuming in this particular circuit. Then the voltage which generates here, like VRT, the voltage which is generated is again RIR EJ omega t plus theta. Any questions here related to this? Okay, so if there are no questions, so what happens is now it's very simple, right? You are actually using IR EJ omega t plus theta as your excitation, and whatever voltage that you are getting across the resistor is nothing but R times the current IT which is flowing like this. And this VRT is also you can say it's a amplitude. Let me do like this. It's VR EJ omega t plus theta, because we can represent VRT also as such on this side, on the left side. This is equal to RIR E J omega t plus theta. So what happens now is your j omega t cancels out. So from both the sides you can cancel out j omega t. Theta also can be cancelled out, but we are not cancelling it, that one. We are retaining the theta, but we are cancelling the exponential j omega t. So if we do that, then what we have is j theta. Here what we have? J theta. So if you have both of these together, this is what? This is bold V and this is bold I. Right or not? So this is bold V and this is bold I. And so what you can see is this part, which is R over here, is nothing but it is GZ omega. This thing. So what can you say about the resistor? Is it dependent upon the frequency or not?
Yes, sir.
No, sir.
No, sir.
It's not dependent, right?
No, sir.
No.
So this is G J omega times the bold I, but you can see that resistance is not dependent upon the frequency, it is constant. So hardly we gain any insights when we have resistors in case of AC circuits. So resistors are as good as, there is no variation in them, so we do not get any insightful, understanding on what's going on for resistors, but we will get definitely for the capacitors and the inductors, which we will do now. But from this side, what you can understand is that the voltage representation and the bold I representation for this particular circuit, which is over here in time, in the frequency format, can be represented as this. I will write it as bold I. Then we have this resistor, and then I can write this as bold V. So here you can see now that bold V is equal to bold I times R. So you are representing now in terms of phasors. So these bold I and bold V are now phasor representations. Earlier it was time representation. So both these circuits are different. This is in terms of the frequency representation, where you have all these voltages and currents that you are writing it in terms of bold format. So that's why this is the phasor format representation of the circuit. And this is the time format which you have here. Any questions here?
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have one question, sir. Why we are writing j omega?
Yes, I will answer this once you move to the to the L and C circuits and solve some numericals. Then you will get to know why we are writing this. Do not worry. So if you want to quench your thirst in terms of why we are writing it, I will tell you that in case if you want to write IT specifically, as we know it is represented in cos forms, then what you can do is you can take the real part of this IR e j omega t plus theta. So once you take the real part of this, you get back the cosine function. And why we are using this? We are using this, as I told you, that this is the solution of the solution of the differential equation that we use in case of RLC circuits involving AC. So just to solve that differential equation properly and easily, we are using the exponential as one of the solutions of that differential equation. And that's why this exponential thing is coming from there. And once you solve this, then you take the real part of this particular expression, then you will get it IR cos omega t. So that is the reason why we are using EJ omega t plus theta. Okay. Any questions here in terms of any other doubts? Somebody else was also asking. Yes.
Yeah, so I wanted to ask that when we write in polar or phasor representation, we write Vm angle theta. So in that, if this equation that we are given, in that if the value of Vm is negative, that do we have to include that in Vm as well? Vm angle theta as in.
Can you repeat again?
Well,
what you are saying?
as in, we were given minus sine 15 that question.
Yes.
But
Yes.
so do we have to write minus in the phasor form as well?
No, that minus will be incorporated in the phasor form later on. You have to make the argument positive, like the amplitude positive. See here, in this particular case, we made this minus positive, right, later on here. So there is no negative here. So we are incorporating this negative thing into the phase shift. That's why it's 120 here. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
We solved this question earlier regarding the negative thing. You can watch that video and understand things. Okay, yeah.
Sir, here register is time independent, right?
Yes, it's time independent and frequency
But
independent
impedance
also.
is time dependent.
Sorry?
Impedance is there. That is time dependent.
Impedance is frequency independent here for case of resistor. Because if you see here, there is no omega variation here in this resistor, right? You are not varying any omega, so it's a constant actually. ZZ omega. If you plot this curve as a function of ZZ omega, you will only get this single line R.
But sir, omega which is equal to 2 pi f and the frequency which is equal to 1 by t. So the impedance is also time dependent, but
Who said
resistor is time
impedance is time dependence? See this resistor. Are you when you have resistor in the lab, when you are measuring that resistance today, and if you measure that resistance after 5 days, will it change?
No, it will not change.
So how come it is time dependent then? It is not
But
time
here that
dependent.
impedance,
Where it is? This is general representation, right? It is a general representation ZZ omega, which is actually GZ omega is a function of R, L and C. So in case if you do not have L and C, then this GZ omega is as good as the resistance that we were working around from our DC circuits. But if this resistance is incorporated with L and C or L or LC or C, then a combination of resistance along with that creates a frequency dependent component, which is ZZ omega. Okay?
okay sir, thank you sir.
Sir,
Yes.
sir, can we apply circuit theorems in AC circuits?
Yes, we will do that. We will solve some numericals today and tomorrow in the next class. You will get comfortable with that also. We will solve it. So whatever you have studied, like sigma delta, whatever you have studied, like delta star transformations, and whatever theorems you have studied, whatever you have studied till now is all applicable in AC circuits also. But the only difference is that now you will represent these equivalent circuits in this format, the phasor format, where you have I and V, and then you will calculate these values. And if you want to go from I and V back to this circuit, how will you do that? You will do that by taking real part of this I and bold I rather, and real part of this bold V. So once you take the real parts of all these individual components, then you go back to the time domain. But if you keep this capital I, capital V as such, then you are actually working in the phasor representation of this circuit. Okay?
Sir, I still didn't get why we have cancelled out j omega t from both sides.
See, the thing j omega t is cancelled out because, as I told you, we already know that this particular circuit is excited with a specific value of omega, and that omega is given to us. So if that omega is given to us, then what is the suspense there? Like, there is no suspense, right? You are exciting the signal with a constant omega. Same omega will vary for the voltages and currents. So there is no, suspense about it. It's all clear. Suspense comes in case of phases. Problem is that for resistances, there is no change in the phase. That's why you are, having this type of thing. But when we have these capacitors, which have a frequency component involved, then there is a suspense about these phases, phi. So omega is still the same. So as suspense is not there about the omega, we cancelled it out. Okay.
It won't make any effect
Yes.
further.
Yes.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Okay. Okay, so let's do it for the capacitor.
Sir.
Yes.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yes.
What is the feasibility of writing IR e raised to j omega t plus theta? Like, why we directly not write IR cos omega t plus theta?
We are not directly writing it just for, see, the thing is, what you are saying is why we are not writing directly. So the reason for that is we want to go for polar representations as I told you last time, there will be several multiplications and divisions of the currents and voltages, and these multiplications and divisions of the currents, as I told you last time with the exercise, that polar representations somewhere help us in doing that. It's easy to it's easy to divide the two expressions when you are using polar format, as well as multiply the two expressions when you are in polar format. So that's why we are doing all these representations, so that we can easily calculate these things. Okay. And
Yes.
also basically, as this course will not go into the details, but what happens is when you try to understand more complex circuits, we can easily understand them through phasors. So we draw multiple phasors for various voltages and currents, and we try to analyze through phasor diagrams. So that thing is not included in your course, but that is another view, like why we are writing all these terms of why we are writing it why we are writing all in terms of phasors, because they help us in visualizing the voltages and currents in a much better way as compared to seeing it in the time domain analysis. Like for example, in time domain analysis, if you want to see which circuit is which waveform is having a phase lead or lag, it's very difficult, because in on oscilloscopes these waveforms keep on moving from left to right, so it's very difficult to make them stationary first. But if you can make them stationary, then sometimes visually it is very difficult to see the phase lead and lag type of things on an oscilloscope. But if you represent the same thing in terms of phasors, which I will do now, you will easily see that this is actually leading this particular phasor which is at the back side. So we will discuss this, but for representations also, for better representation, better understanding of the circuit, we try to do it in the phasor format for AC signals rather than time domain signals.
Yes.
Okay. So now let's discuss the capacitors. So in capacitors, what happens is, this is the circuit, let us say. This is the circuit which I am not drawing. It's a very complex circuit, so I am drawing it in the form of a box. And now we have this capacitor here, plus minus VCT. So this is the voltage across the capacitor, and this is the current that is flowing in the capacitor. Okay. So what we want to know is, we want to actually represent this in terms of the phasor format diagram, which will be like this. So it's a circuit here. Then we have the same capacitor, but now this current will be what? It will be bold I. And what will be the voltage across the capacitor? It will be bold VC. So it's a voltage across the capacitor and the current I, but now it's in a phasor format, and this one is the time format. So we want to find out the relationship, like how this bold VC is related to this bold I. We want to see that. So let us see that first. So if I write ICT, which is on the left side for this particular diagram, if I write ICT, it is what? It can be represented as ICEJ omega t plus theta, let us say. Then let us say your VCT is nothing but it's VC EJ omega t plus phi. So now you can see, now the omega is same, but theta, which is the current which was flowing here, and the voltage that it is generating is taken as phi. So the phases are different. So information is residing in the phases. Omega is not providing any information, so that's why we try to omit that omega normally in these representations. So if I write ICT, which is nothing but, as you all know, is dVCT by dt, small v rather. So what is the answer here? Can anyone tell me if I do this integration, differentiation? C d by dt, then you have here Vc E j omega t plus phi. What is the answer here?
Sir, j omega
Sir, j omega t plus phi
into omega.
So no, why plus phi? It will not be phi.
J
Sir, only
omega.
j omega will be
Only
multiplied.
only J omega.
be multiplied.
So it will be this, right? Will it be or not? So no problems here, right? So now if I write this thing over for this expression which is onto the left side, I can write it as IC E j omega t plus theta, and that is equal to j omega c Vc E j omega t plus phi, right? So from both the sides, exponential j omega t will cancel out. So what is left is E j theta is j omega c Vc E j phi. So from here, you already know that this is what? This is capital I, mod, basically the bold one, and this is
Bold V.
bold V, this expression. This, if you recall, this is same as, you can write it as IC angle theta also. And VCEJ phi can also be written as VC angle phi. Another way of representing the same. So now you can see capital I is related to capital V by this factor j omega c. So bold V is nothing but 1 by j omega c capital I, bold I, sorry. Will it be or not? So here what you can see is that this is the impedance. This is your impedance, and this value is actually nothing but that is just j omega. So the capacitor actually has the impedance which is given by 1 by j omega c. So if you are working in DC, your omega is 0, then what will happen to the impedance? What will happen to it? It will be
Infinite.
So what it means in terms of
It will be infinite.
what it means in terms of the component, circuit components, if it is infinite means what?
Open.
Yes.
Open
Current will be 0.
No, current will be 0, but it's an open circuit, right? And if you have omega as infinity, then what will be the G omega?
Zero.
It will be
Means,
0. That means
Short circuit.
short circuit.
Short circuit.
So what physically means that omega is infinite? What it means physically? Can you tell me? This it's a DC, right? Omega is 0 means it's a DC value, right? But if omega is infinite means what?
Capacitor.
Omega is infinite means?
Fully charged.
No. It's not that. Omega is tending towards infinity means you are actually exciting the capacitor with a very high frequency. Very high frequency. Okay? So in that situation, it acts as a short circuit. Okay? For omega 0, which is a DC value, right? For DC, there is no variation in the frequency. So for that case, your C is an open circuit. That's why when we were solving our circuit theory questions, there was no C and L there, because there is no point in putting the capacitors in the DC circuits. Okay, so if I want to further write this, what can I do? I can write it as I can write it as I have written it here, right?
J.
I have written this I, right? This I can again I will write it here. So this is actually nothing but it's bold I, and this is nothing but it's bold V. So what I can do, I can write it as I C angle theta, and then I can write it as minus j here and then omega c. So if you see here closely, minus j is nothing but it's one angle minus 90 degrees. So you can write it as in polar format as theta minus 90 degrees divided by omega c. Omega c. So what can you say here now? What you see is that everybody is comfortable with this. Any questions?
No, sir.
Okay, so this is very simple, right? You are actually multiplying the two polars, and once you multiply, the phases will add, so it's theta minus 90. So now if I want to represent in terms of the phasor format, then what it is that your if you have angle, if you have this IC angle theta, which is nothing but this one, This is your IC angle theta. It is making an angle theta. Then your voltage VC, sorry, please note that the amplitude of the voltage will be different. It is smaller amplitude and the magnitude of that is IC over omega C. You can see it from here, right? So no magic, only calculations only, right? So IC by omega C will be a smaller one and this one will be a bigger one. Let me draw small. This is IC by omega C. And what is the angle? Angle is 90 degrees or not? This angle is 90 degrees. So what it shows? It shows that your voltage across the capacitor VC is lagging the capacitor voltage by, current by 90 degrees or not? The voltage,
Yes, sir.
the voltage vector is 90 degrees behind the IC vector. So this I think you must be knowing, but I don't know whether you followed this procedure for doing it or not. But so this I think it's a universal fact which most of you must be knowing it from your schools. So here the voltage vector is 90 degrees lagging the IC vector because we are normally rotating like this and this is actually behind the IC because we normally rotate the vectors anti-clockwise. Okay, so now this is for the capacitors. If you do the same thing for inductors, what you will get? I don't want to go into the derivations of that, but if you do the case for inductor, what you will get is mod.
Extended backward.
You will get this expression. You do it yourself. I'm not doing it. So you do it yourself. Like in case of this one, you have this. In case of inductors, you have this. And from here, if you want to write the expression for this, you will be Im angle theta plus 90 degrees. J is nothing but 1 angle 90. So you are adding it by 90 degrees here. So if you...
Sir, we have to find Z, that is omega L.
Sorry?
We have to find that Z impedance.
Yeah. This one is the impedance ZZ omega, which is omega L for case of inductance. So in case of inductance, if it's a DC value, then what is the impedance? For this, it's 0 and it is short circuit. And if for omega is infinity, ZZ omega will be infinity. That it means, what it means? Open circuit. So it's opposite to the case of capacitors. Whatever capacitor is doing, inductor is doing opposite to that in the extreme situations, which is omega equal to 0 and omega equal to infinity. And in between the two, whatever value you take, both will play its role. Both the things will play its role. So if you want to draw the representations for the inductor, so if you have, this is your VC, this is IC angle theta, then your voltage vector will be like this, and this is 90 degrees, and this is theta, and this is your VC angle theta. And in case of inductors, you can see that from the phasor format, you can see that the voltage is actually leading the this phasor, current phasor by 90 degrees here. So this is for case of inductors. So now, as you can see from this relation for the capacitor, what you can do now is you can write this as 1 by j omega c IC. Right? So this is basically the phasor representation for the capacitor, and this is the impedance that you are getting for the capacitor. And similarly, if you want to do it for the inductor, it will be nothing but you will replace this by inductor, and you are calculating the voltage across the inductor, and here it will be what? Here it will be inductor, and then you will write bold VL, and its value will be j omega L bold I. So this is the phasor format representation for inductors. So when you will solve the AC circuits, we will actually not solve these type of things. We will actually be solving these, where the currents and the voltages will be represented by bold format I and V, which are the phasor representation having internally angle theta, having internally angle phi with that. Okay, so this is for the capacitors and inductors. Any questions here related to this?
Sir, can you once again explain that phasor you drawn?
Sorry?
Can you explain that phasor diagram you drawn, like 90-degree type?
Okay, so this one you see here, right? This is for the case of capacitor, right? Here, if you go through this expression, the angle IC is making is theta only. But if you are looking for the voltage curve, it is theta minus 90 degrees. So it's basically making a 90 degree, it's 90 degree below or maybe lagging this IC. So this is the voltage VC actually. And the magnitude of this VC vector is, practically speaking, this is actually bold V. And the magnitude of this vector is IC by omega C, which is given over here. In case of here, in this case, also the difference in the magnitude will be there, but I have drawn it wrong actually. This vector will be small because it's IM angle phi, and now you are actually multiplying omega L with IM, so this vector will be a big vector compared to this one. This is a small vector. I hope you can understand, because you are multiplying a omega L with the magnitude of Im, so this vector will have a bigger magnitude compared to this one, and it's making a 90 degrees, so it is ahead of this vector. Okay, so that's why in inductors we say that the voltage across the inductor is 90 degrees ahead, or it's leading the current vector, which is the current which is flowing in the inductor. Okay, any other questions?
Sir, can we ask related to amplifier? One doubt is there.
Yes.
Sir, what is common mode rejection?
Common mode rejection is what happens is, like, for example, you have one signal, let us say this one, okay, and there is another, not this one, we'll take this example, and then we have another signal which is this one, okay. So what happens is, in your operational amplifiers, we have this CMRR, which is called as common mode rejection ratio. So what happens is, it tries to amplify the difference. It is AD by AC, right? If I can recall that, it's AD by AC, right? So you know this expression or not?
So you have not taught us this.
No,
CMRR.
No, sir, we don't know.
Okay, you don't
Yes,
know that.
sir.
Okay. See, the thing is, CMRR, it's not in the, in your course, but in lab, if they are doing it, it's a different story. But in CMRRs are trying to do what? CMRRs are trying to actually amplify the difference in these two signals, like whatever difference that they have, these two signals, and they try to, remove the common signal in between the two. Like if this signal and this signal has a common signal, which is like, if you have V1 and this is V2, then V1 plus V2 by 2 is the common signal in between the two, because you are averaging it out. But the different signal is V1 minus V2 by 2. So the value that you get here is the difference signal, and the value that you get it from here is the common mode signal. So what happens is, by the name, as it says, common mode rejection ratio, what it means is, this operational amplifier tries to make this common mode signal go to 0. It never amplifies this common mode signal, to be precise. It do not care about this signal. It only cares about this signal, and it amplifies this signal only, and it do not amplify this signal. So our operational amplifiers are basically made in such a way that they amplify the difference of the two signals rather than the average of the two signals. Okay? And why we do difference of the signals? We do it because it helps us in removing the noise, because normally, these signals will have a lot of noise component, so we try to avoid that by, using the common mode signal. So let me tell you this also. Like for example, you have some signal here, right? One person is speaking, another person is speaking also. So like this. So this particular signal is, let us say, for male voice. This is for female voice. So why these two are different? Because male voice has a lower frequency, so that's why I am drawing it with a lower frequency component. Female voice has a, the pitch is high, so the frequency components are larger here. So this is the one which is representing that. So what happens is, normally, there will be noise in the environment. So that noise, what happens is, this noise will, superimpose on this, like this. So it's not a actual signal, it will have some noise. And the thing is that if it affects the male voice, it will definitely affect the female voice also with the same magnitude. So what happens is, if you want to remove this noise, what you will do, if you subtract the two, you will remove the noise or not? Because it is same in both the cases, right?
Sir.
So the noise component is same in both the cases, so it gets subtracted out. So that's why we try to work out with the difference of the two signals rather than averaging out. Averaging will not subtract the noise. So that's why CMRR is there. Okay. I'm not going into the details of it. It has more subtle explanation to it, but this is just a very crude way of explaining you CMRR in terms of this simple example. Any other question?
Sir, can you explain a little bit about difference amplifier also, sir?
Why like that? Like why this difference amplifier is coming here?
Sir, in lab they have given.
See, difference amplifier, if you recall, I have solved one example on that. If you recall,
sir, वही question था.
right? So in that question, you will see you have this V1 minus V2 coming up, right? I cannot redraw that example now.
V2 R2 by R1.
Yeah, something is there, right? So see, what they are doing is they are trying to calculate the difference between the two. And even in the instrumentation amplifier, if you see, we can get this. In the instrumentation amplifier circuit which we had drawn last time, that also has a difference in the voltages between the two. Because we were
But in that we have to do different values.
Sorry, can you come again?
Sir, in that the task is there that we have to do the hand calculation for different values, and certain questions are also given in that task.
Okay. Okay. So any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, then. So today's time is over. I was thinking of covering some numericals, but no problem. In the next week, we will discuss more numericals based on these AC analysis, so that you will feel comfortable in solving these questions, and then we will move forward with some other topics later on. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.